Oh, right. Now, Sue, do you want to share it to your Facebook page from mine? Yes. Sue, sweetheart, are you? Oh, you're muted, Sue, for some reason.
Here we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sue, did you want to share the talk to your Facebook page? I have it.
Oh, you have my Facebook there?
It's streaming to Facebook and it's streaming to my YouTube.
Here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I see lots of lovely faces. God bless you, Denise. Hey, Gary, our researcher extraordinaire from Baltimore. We have Karen and Inga, Terry. Hi, Jody. Marcy. Oh, that's cute. I like that. Michael, Mary, and Julie. Okay, so I'm going to ask people, except not Sue, to mute yourselves because we got some background, or I'm going through. I think it's Michael. So I'm muting everyone. But of course, if you have a question as we're going through, it's a very informal chat. By all means, wave your hands, and then we'll turn the platform over to you to ask questions. So I do this monthly. I actually have to pick a name for this because I like to interview Michael Waisley. I'm going to mute you, okay? Please stay muted because there's background coming through when you're unmuted. So anyway, my name is Winter Brook. I'm a psychic medium on Long Island, for those of you who are new to me. And about once a month, I like to interview a colleague in the field and talk about areas that they practice and share the information. So tonight, I wanted to speak with Sue Barnes because I've known Sue, 8-9 years now?
Yeah, a while.
Yeah, and she's a former Long Islander, and she is credited by the Spiritualist National Union. She went through quite a lengthy process to be accredited as a medium. She also practices physical mediumship, and she wrote a book. I should have had the copy of the book here, but it's been a little hectic. Mars retrograde or something like that, right, Denise? And the book was very informative. Oh, there, great, Marcy. Unfolding Practical Physical Mediumship. Thank you. I highly recommend the book. I've read it. I keep it as part of my library. And I've sat with Sue. In fact, Sue was kind enough to sit with me while I was up at Lilydale teaching, because I wanted to know if I was actually doing physical mediumship or if it was just the enthusiastic support of my circle. What was that, about 5 years ago? So we both sat together in her home, and it was wonderful under hush-hush conditions. And I say that because, not everybody is enthusiastic about physical mediumship. I happen to be in the minority, and there's a number of us here tonight that feel the same way. And we are trying to publicize and promote physical mediumship, because I know from my own experience, Sue, you lived on Long Island, most working mediums don't even know what physical mediumship is on Long Island. It's just not available to people, and I'd like to see that change. So Sue, why don't you, I think I'd like to spend a little time, if that's okay. Let's talk about the different forms of physical mediumship, because although we have some practitioners here and people that are, really pushing physical mediumship and developing it to show what spirit can do, there are some people who are new to it. So I'm
Well,
going to hand it over to you and you can
Mhm.
talk about that.
well, technically, there's two types of mediumship: mental mediumship and physical mediumship. Under the category of mental mediumship, there's controlled mental mediumship, which is the trance state. Trance technically falls under the category of mental mediumship, although it is associated very much with physical mediumship, because the physical mediums are usually in a trance state when they do their work. Mental mediumship, we all know, it's when the medium gets the message from the spirit world and they communicate that to the receiver. Trance mediumship is different. Trance mediumship is when the medium gives their body over to the spirit world to let the spirit world to speak. Similarly, in physical mediumship, the medium gives over their body to allow the manifestations to appear. When I say manifestations, they're all kinds of things. Probably the simplest form of physical mediumship is table tipping, when the spirits help to move the table. The extreme form of mental mediumship is materializations, when the medium can actually materialize a person or body parts, and they actually manifest these through the use of ectoplasma and create the limbs or the person through the ectoplasma so that the individual people in the room can see it. So that's the kind of highest form of physical mediumship. We got everything in between. We've got apports that come through. We get spirit guides that come through that
So let
allow.
me just jump in because people may not know what the term apports is. An
Oh,
apport is when the spirit world dematerializes an item outside of the seance room and materializes it inside. So they move it like Star Trek, beam me up, it really happens. Alternatively, an asport is when they remove something from the seance room and they put it elsewhere. So there was a medium named, actually several mediums did it with spirit. Of course, when we say the mediums are doing it, what we actually mean is spirit is doing it through the instrument of the medium. So, but Colin Fry, I've seen pictures, and Jack Weber, I've seen pictures when he was working with Harry Edwards, where spirit actually took their jackets off while they were sitting in their jackets and they were tied to the chair, and spirit removed and then brought it over. So there's photos of that. So things like that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
no,
just
that's okay.
there are people here that are brand new and are
Yeah.
so excited to learn about physical mediumship.
This is an apport. This was an apport that was created through the mediumship of Bill Bolt.
Wow.
He gave me at one of his seances, and he knows I make jewelry, so I made a necklace out of it. So.
That's gorgeous. She's not here tonight, but one of my circle members, Karen Link, she was studying with Michael Shane, who's going to be one of the mediums for the Victorian physical mediumship in Victorian times, which we're going to talk about tonight. And he also is quite prolific with apports, and he's brought through some apports, not quite so big that she has one. I mean, he's brought through big ones, but the one that she has isn't quite as big, but they are gorgeous. And I had the opportunity to sit in a seance with him, and I also received some, and they're really cool. So, but those are apports. So I'm going to turn it back to you. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Well, you totally lost my train of thought, but no, apports are one of the things that we do. And what Michael Shane's been doing, and I'm encouraging people who have extra apports, we're putting them on the ferry trail in Lilydale to try to attract the ferries. So we've been scattering some apports out there, which is fun, which will be great.
Oh, I have a couple. I'll mail them to you.
Well, you don't have to mail them, bring them to the conference and you can
Okay.
scatter them in the ferry trail is what I'm asking people to do. But yeah, so physical medium is all kinds of different things. I'm trying to think of what we didn't cover. Well, I don't know, some say spoon bending, we consider spoon bending to be a form of physical mediumship.
I'm
So
not that familiar with spoon bending. Is that more of a telekinesis ability where it's the mind of the medium, so the spirit incarnate, or is it spirit discarnate?
I don't know, I just know how it works.
Well, you know what was funny? I had a tenant who was a mediumship student of mine, but mental mediumship. And Spirit said to tell her to try spoon bending. Now, I've never done it myself. And I just kind of said, well, I don't know, I think you focus on it and you want it to move. I have no idea. And or whatever I said, they were coming through me. So she went upstairs. She lived in the building. And before I got home, she was showing me a picture. She was quite apt at it. The problem was she then unintentionally kept bending the mailbox keys. And of course, I'm the landlady, so I had to keep getting her new mailbox keys.
Yes,
There should be a warning with that ability.
I've heard that happen. I heard that the physical medium Warren Kaler would sit in a restaurant with people and the forks and spoons would bend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a very strange phenomenon. It's like you work the metal and all of a sudden the metal like becomes very soft and bends. And you can twist it, you can bend it, you can do all kinds of things with it. Exactly how the phenomena happens. I'm not sure. Some people are prone to it more than others. Some people have a proclivity towards bending spoons and they just sit there and bend spoons all day if they want to. Other people, I mean, I had to work at it a bit. Ron Nagy, who's the historian in Lilydale, he does this thing where he has people stand with the spoon over their head. He has them circle around 3 times saying, I can't bend this spoon, but God can bend this spoon. They circle 3 times and then they try to bend the spoon. That's his technique.
But anyway, I find it fascinating. So that's going to be one of the topics that's covered. I think Michael, Shane, and Julie
Michael and Julie are going to do that.
Yeah, they're going to be teaching that at the wonderful symposium you've organized. All right, so we have the just to recap it, the different forms. Oh, transfiguration. You should talk about that. That's my baby, and that's your baby.
Transfiguration. Well, there's 2 types of. There's transfiguration and oh God, I'm blanking on the word. Transfiguration is when the overshadowing, transfiguration or overshadowing. Overshadowing is when the person sits in the cabinet with the lights and it's the shadows of the lights that change their face. In contrast, transfiguration is when the medium sits in the cabinet and ectoplasma covers their face and a new face emerges. I've seen this done in daylight and I've seen it done in red light. The person who did it in daylight, it was amazing. And it was really clear because the ectoplasm was here and the ectoplasm formed the face of a Native American. And the face was so clear and eerie that the eyes like looked at you. You could see them, but you could also see his face behind it, which was interesting. So
that would be energy based.
Well, I think most of that's ectoplasmic based, although everything can be done with energy too. I mean, some people work with the energy, some people work with the ectoplasm. Sometimes it's both. So it's hard to say, but usually, see, the reason why I say it's ectoplasm is because I've had a number of people take pictures of me in the cabinet while doing transfiguration, and my face is totally gone. It's blank. There's nothing there. It's just like a sheet of ectoplasms, like a cloud of ectoplasms over my face. You can't see it at all. And
Right. I've experienced the same thing. But that's what I was always questioning, whether it was overshadowing or transfig, but also experience the shape of the face changes, the head enlarges, and
yeah, that's not, well, see, when you start to see things of a different scale, for example, the picture of me on the cover of my book is a picture of me doing transfiguration. And you can see parts of my face, but then on the side of my face is a smaller face. And that smaller face is not overshadowing because it's not the size of my face. So that
right.
has to be transfiguration. Yeah. So
Denise.
I have two questions. When transfiguration is taking place, is the medium conscious of this?
in my case, I wasn't. I had no idea.
And in terms of ectoplasm or ectoplasma, is this something we all contain? How does it form when you're in a session? Like, where does it come from? Does it come from within, and then
It comes from a combination of the medium, of the environment, of the sitters, all merging together. In fact, when they have taken pieces of the Bang paintings, we forgot the paintings, the Bang sisters paintings, and analyzed them, which were created with ectoplasma, they found body fluids, they found debris, they found all kinds of things in there. So that's why a physical medium has to work in a very, very, very clean space, because the ectoplasm goes out of their body. And if for any reason there's a sudden noise or a light goes on or something, it'll snap right back into their body and it can hurt them.
So does it generate from the medium, and then the environment provides a space that allows it to grow and build along with the sitters?
The sitters are part of it. It's not just the medium. The sitters are very much an important part of it. But I think that the original generation of it has to come from the medium. I think it starts with the medium and then it builds up. And it can be, I mean, we've seen ectoplasm in various forms. It can be a mist too. It goes from a misty kind of thing, you know, like when the room gets very cloudy, you know that there's ectoplasm in there. It can also be very dense, so you can feel it, like Gary Mannion creates ectoplasmic hands, and he puts the hands out like this, and you shake the hand and you feel a hand. It's there, but it's ectoplasm. How do I know it's ectoplasm? Because it's very wet, moist, and gooey.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and just to add with that, it can come from various parts of the medium's body.
Yeah.
All the orifices, so the nose, the mouth, the ears, can also come through the skin membrane. And then in the case of, was that the red-haired Boston medium, Marjorie medium, yes. She came from her private areas, came right out that way. So, which I told Spirit, if you're going to do that to me, do not even consider having it exude there. But I feel that in my case anyway, we get the mist. And then sometimes they'll see streams from my nose or my mouth. So that's doable. And then I love when they, there's also something called elongation. I posted a picture on my Facebook page today, just from our random sitting we did a couple days ago. And lately they're elongating my finger. It's weird, but usually what they do to me, I haven't seen it. We haven't got it on film yet, but every sitter swears, including guests, they elongate my ear and it waves. Do your ears hang low and they wiggle and they walk? Isn't there like a children's song like that? I don't know. And my ears aren't that big.
Humor.
So spirit has a sense of humor.
We forgot an important one, levitation.
Oh yeah, I want to do that one. Douglas Daniel Home. And levitation would also be what they do with the trumpets. And a trumpet's not the trumpet from the marching band, but the trumpet is a cylindrical, almost like horn, straight horn, in order to amplify the speaking of the spirit communicators. And the spirit will levitate them and move them around the room, or they can be held with ectoplasmic rods, which is like an extension.
Yes, I did actually see in one seance, I was able to see the ectoplasmic rods in the room. And they were like rods. They were straight things that were moving around in the room. But we forgot two things with the trumpets. The trumpets, sometimes it's just moving around. Sometimes there's a voice that comes out of the trumpet. But also we have something called direct voice, where the medium gets a voice box where the spirit will talk through the voice box. So many times you'll see the mediums, the physical mediums will bind themselves with tape and with all gags and with all kinds of things so they can't talk, but the spirits will be talking through the trumpets or through the voice box.
All right. And the last one would be independent direct voice, right? And that's where the voice is in the room independent of the voice box. And in that case, it can be perceived as coming from different areas of the room by different sitters. So one sitter might feel that the voice is coming from the northwest corner, and another sitter could swear it was coming from right behind them. But everybody in the room is hearing the voice.
Yes.
It's not that they're hearing it with their psychic or mediumistic clairvoyant ability. So, okay. So I did have a question in the chat from Terry asking me, what do I do? Because she follows me and watches my pictures sometimes. So I'm mainly doing transfiguration, where there is some ectoplasm mist. And I do trance speaking with my mouth. They speak through me, the same as mental mediumship. So they are building a voice box. It's like little sausages coming up under my skin, but we're not there yet. I had a couple of years setback, so working toward it again. But thank you, Terry. And I'm just checking. I don't see any questions on the Facebook. So there is another form of physical mediumship. And actually, as I pull up, oh, hi, Dave from Scotland. And Dee's here. Oh, awesome. Aaron, love you, sweetheart. Lynette, I'm saying hi to everyone. Hey, Philip. Everybody who's been watching my little shows here might remember Phil Wyatt. We had him on with scrying. So Phil has a question. He wants us to talk about spirit art and, where does it come in? Is it physical mediumship or inspired?
Well, I think that the photography and the art, well, it can be, the art can be from the person, subconscious mind, and it can be from the spirit world. And so let me describe that with automatism. Automatism is interesting. The Casey Foundation thinks that automatic writing is only when a spirit takes over the hand of the medium. But that's not how the surrealists used it. The surrealists use it to try to get the unconscious mind to come forward. So when we do a lot of our automatic writing, we're experimenting. We're trying to let the spirit control of our hand. We're trying not to think so that it just happens spontaneously. But I can't say that some of it doesn't come from the subconscious mind. But I believe that with the scrying that Philip does, I believe that there is definitely spirit working there and spirits involved with it, because the images that he gets and what Karen gets in her glasses and things like that are images that are totally produced of the water or the lenses or the glass or the scrying. It's all part of the same thing. So that's got to be something else happening. That's got to be spirit imposing their influence on that type of art. I mean, if we get the art that the Bank sisters and Campbell's brothers did, which is the precipitation, which I know people are working on today, that's strictly spirit art. Because when the Bank sisters worked, ectoplasma would go in front of the canvas, and then the images would emerge, and they would use materials from the room, pigments and paints from the room to create the paintings. And that was no hands touched it, and I would say no minds touched it either. I mean, except for the power of the medium. So that was pure spirit art, but there's all kinds of different ways of doing spirit art. And then you've got my wax ones. When I do the wax, I totally do it randomly. I just, work with the colors and then cut them up into cards. And then when I get the cards, I look at the cards and a person touches it and I can start to see samples or indications of their relatives and family members in them. So that's got to be spirit working,
Actually, you know what I have, Sue? I can share a couple pictures. I was at a seance with Gary Mannion up in right outside of Lilydale in Neal's. You were there.
I was
And, yeah, and he did a precipitated art picture of my dad.
Now, what's interesting here is that,
and I have the matching photo with it.
Yeah, Gary Mannion is the first person since the Bang sisters and Campbell's brothers to do precipitated art of loved ones. There are other people that do precipitated arts, but they bring through gods and spirits, and they don't bring through relatives.
So you want me to share it?
Sure, if you got it there.
I do. Because okay. Oh. There we go. I am doing great here. I'm moving things all over my desktop. So okay, Lilydale photos. I think that's the one. Yeah. So this is an example of spirit art from trance medium Sandy Ingham. She goes into trance and she's bringing through a lot of guides. Okay, I'm just gonna flick up. There's the voice box with a medium. We spoke about that. That's Jack Weber. That's me holding a rat. Where'd you go? Come on, where'd you go? My apologies. It's not here. Okay, that's embarrassing now, isn't it? I must have opened the wrong file. I'm so sorry. Keep talking while I find the right.
Well, no, and I've seen him do it a number of times. What's interesting, it's really interesting, is the fact that Gary did it a lot when he was in the Cassadaga area, which, of Lilydale, which is where the Bang sisters and Campbell's brothers worked. And it was believed that the atmosphere of the Great Lakes in that particular region of the country helped with the types of mediumship that has been produced in that area. And so when Gary was working in the area, that's when the precipitation really, really started happening for him. I know it happens other places, but that was one place where it was really noticeable.
Okay. So I found the right file. My apologies. I had a couple presentations on physical mediumship. Come on, guys. All right. Just need to flick through it because I can't see it behind. Okay. So there is the picture of Asia that's in Lilydale, right? It was in that precipitated by the Campbell brothers.
Yes, that was precipitated by the Campbell's brothers, and on the back of the painting are the signature of all the people that witnessed it being made. The other thing I have to say about this is that Azor was part of a museum exhibit at the Minneapolis Museum, which was the first time that these paintings were made part of art history. Normally, they've been ignored.
Okay, come on. You know what? It's a really bad thing to go from a Dell computer to Mac computers when you're middle aged. Okay. So I'm trying, guys. Okay, here we go. This was the one that Gary did, and he's just starting out doing this form of mediumship, or I should say spirit did through Gary. And this is my dad. There was no doubt in my mind. And then the evidence was, it just blew me away. The evidence given at that seance from my father through the guide, Mrs. Barnaby. I actually asked Mrs. Barnaby if she would work with me and help improve my evidence. And then this is the picture I found that matches. I mean, it looks like the same gentleman. I had, limited pictures to find. That's my little daughter, who's now a doctor. But you can see the resemblance quite clearly, I think. Is everybody able to see that? Then the other thing is they wrote the names of my father's 6 children from his first marriage, which I don't speak about in public anyway. So that's no way to find that information. It's only my dad would have known that. And there's inside information in those names as well that my family would be aware of that the general public wouldn't be. And then he put the epitaph of what he wanted on his gravestone. I did it my way because his conversation that evening, while this was being produced in the center of the circle, my father was discussing his funeral, because one of the things was I found myself walking through a cemetery on Halloween to bury him. And I just remember yelling at him in my head, "You planned this, didn't you? Walking through a freaking cemetery on Halloween." I grew up across the street from 2 cemeteries. So this, connection there. And during the seance, he came out and he says, "Yeah, I did plan it." So anyway, my father has an awesome sense of humor. And while I have this open, I have a picture. This is Michael Shane producing the apports, similar to the one that Susan showed us from Bill Bolt, who did it that's now a necklace. And which one is this? This is Jack Weber, who is a famous medium who passed away in the 1940s, I believe, 30s or 40s. And that's ectoplasm on his face, a mask. Anything else interesting before I go back? Oh, I have Susan here. Susan, this is our delightful guest tonight, sitting in with transfiguration and the ectoplasm on her. So, okay, that's all. I don't mean to hog the show here.
Next question.
Okay, so do we have another question on the Zoom room? And let me just, Nope, we just have Mary, my co-host Mari tuning in, Linda and Diane. So we got a nice group going on. So Sue, why would you like to talk about this historic event you've been working towards organizing, and then you finally got it together, and you had Inga and Karen were helping you finalize it, and now people are signing up, and I'm excited. And
It's happening, yes. It was Inga and Karen. They were visiting me this summer, and we said, what can we do for Lilydale? And so we thought, oh, we're going to bring physical mediumship back to Lilydale. Now, at the time, I did not know, because I did research afterwards in the museum, that Lilydale had at least 40 different physical mediums that either lived there or visited or came that did physical mediumship in the Dale. In fact, physical mediumship was the bread and butter of the Dale when it first started, which is something most people don't realize today. So we decided to bring physical mediumship back, and we got Michael and Gary to work with us, and Bill Bolt. And it's a very exciting program. My problem with the program is trying to fit everything in. We've got workshop by Gary and by Michael, and Bill's going to do one too. And then we have all kinds of other workshops that explore everything from physical mediumship today to transfiguration to fairies. We're going to do a thing with the fairies because
in fact, hi Julie, she just signed on.
Hi, Julie. Yeah, and in fact, I just sent Julie this wonderful thing. In my research, and as I find things, I'm going to the research, I found this wonderful kind of fairy poem that was written in 1922 in a publication that was actually published partially by Lilydale. So I sent her the poem so she can use it in a workshop. And we have seen fairies. Fairies are definitely there. There's several places where they are. And so Julie's going to take people on a fairy trail walk. And I'm trying to think of everything else we have going on. But there's just so much that we're trying to do. We're trying to cover as much of it as we can. We're going to have a nighttime table tipping event. So we'll get as many tables as we can in the auditorium and see how many of them we can tip. I'll also bring some talking boards, so if people get bored with table tipping, they can try their hand at talking boards.
Now, talking boards is another name for a Ouija board, correct?
Talking board is the original name for the boards. Ouija was a product, a company product that was made afterwards. Originally, and as again, we go back to Victorian times, they were talking boards.
Right, with the planchette. But just because some people are familiar with the common terminology versus the original, and there's nothing wrong with Ouija boards if you're, using them correctly, as with all communication. The problem with the Ouija boards was you had young people who were hormonal, and, teenagers really shouldn't be without supervision when working with the spirits.
It's not just that. It was
unless they've been trained.
Yeah. Hollywood depicted it as a kind of bad thing, that you would use the Ouija board and then evil spirits and things would come out of it. Right. And if you don't know what you're doing, you could bring through spirits that you really don't want to bring through. So that's why it's important, if you're using these tools, to know how to use them.
Correct.
They're not a game.
No, of course not. But I just mentioned that because people have heard of Ouija boards, and they're not dangerous if you know what you're doing and you're using it correctly, just like an automobile.
Correct.
So I'm sorry, I just threw your train of thought right out.
So those, we're going to have demonstrations of Michael doing his billets with his apports. Gary's going to do a trance where he brings through his guides and people, and it's going to be very exciting. Gary's also going to do some trance healing work and some healing work. So we're definitely going to be using the physical mediums well. And besides, not in the conference itself, but running along with the conference, people will have an option to go to dark seances. We don't have dark seances in Lilydale. And the reason for it right now is mostly one of insurance. You can't have people in a totally dark room, which dark seances have to be totally dark. So we will be having them at Neil Zukowski's place, running during the conference so that people will be able to see dark seances and experience the mediums in that way too.
Yeah, so and that's all it really means. Is dark is means the room is blackened out. But I know with Gary's, he puts the light on from at certain points during his seance and enables you to, we've seen the ectoplasm extruding from him. The light was put on to show everyone the partial drawing, which continued to materialize over the course of the next 24 hours of my dad. And then they've got reflective now, and I've seen Michael, and Michael has the light on during a good part of his to show the billets coming out, not the billets, forgive me, but we have to mention that. Thank you, Spirit, to show the apports, because they come out of his mouth, but I'm told they're dry. So it's like a portal. It comes out of a portal that's located from that orifice.
Michael explained to me how it happens, and it must be working the same way with Bill. Spirit World uses his mouth as a vortex. So the vortex is actually contained within his mouth. And out of this vortex comes the apports. Now, some of these are so big, there's no way they could swallow them and regurgitate them. And they're also fairly dry. So they're not coming from some kind of substance in the body. They're definitely coming from the spirit world. And I've seen necklaces, bracelets, rings, all kinds of things come out with the apports. So, and these you would not be able to swallow.
And apports can also just materialize in the room.
Correct.
Not necessarily from the body of the medium. It depends how each medium is being used by spirit.
Well, let's talk about apports for a second, because the apports also can fall from the ceiling. We've had Gary's brought through Bubba's wallet from the ceiling, came down with all of his credit cards and money and everything that he lost, which was an amazing example of physical mediumship. I'll explain a little bit more. Bubba had lost his wallet, and he'd asked during one of Michael Shane's seances, he asked the spirits where his wallet. And so then about a week or so later, in Gary's seance, the spirit said to Bubba, did you lose your wallet? He said, yes. They said, like, wait a minute. And you heard this crackling kind of sound. And all of a sudden, all of these like credit cards and money came down from the ceiling. And they turned on the red light and they said, Bubba, take a look at it. And Bubba was like, yeah, these are my credit cards. This is it, but there's no wallet. So Gary said, spirit said, okay, crumpling again. The next thing we know, thud, his wallet comes down from the ceiling. He goes and looks at it and he says, yes, that's my wallet. Now, people in the seance asked how this happened and what was going on. And the spirit said that the wallet had been found. It had been taken apart. Different people had taken different parts of the wallet, and that the spirit world had trouble finding all of the pieces, which is why it took them so long to bring it back. They also asked what will happen to the people who took the stuff, because it's no longer there. Remember, it's moving from one place to another. And the spirit said, oh, they'll just think they lost it or misplaced it, but they won't have it anymore.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Okay, but that's not, oh, kitty cat. I'm going to rename myself the cat medium. But anyway, that's not an invitation, folks, for you guys to start losing things on purpose.
No, it isn't. But then I also have to say, apports also can just emerge in every day.
Yes, I had some experiences with that years ago when I was first, I was actually studying Morris Pratt. For those of you familiar with spiritualism, we have an organization called the National Spiritualist Associations of Churches in the US, and they have a 2 to 5 year program, depending how quick or fast or slow you are. And I was studying that, and when I was just about to get to physical mediumship, I was having experiences of that. I had a phone disappear and then materialize the next day in the same spot I was looking for it. I mean, I tore the bed apart, stripped it, wasn't there, made the bed back up because I thought I left the phone in the bed. And then it showed up the next day. I had an experience in Honduras when I was down on a clean water project with, I forgot what they materialized for me. I lost my camera. And the next day we woke up that morning and the camera was sitting in the floor of the room. So anyway, no scorpions though. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, I've had that happen as well. I had a Indian arrowhead appear for me. Lately, they've been moving stuff around in my room. They'll take things off the dresser and put it on the bed. Ironically, what they moved were apports. And I've had other stuff rearranged in the room, and they decoratively arrange it so it's not just an accident. But yeah, so apports can happen to us in our daily lives. They don't just happen through a vortex or when a physical medium is working.
Absolutely. That's where you get, I had a friend, Mary Bell, she actually wrote a book on it, although she was probably a physical medium, although never trained for it. And she used to get coins. Mm-hmm. But there would be significance to the coins she got. There would be an anniversary, the year her parents married, that on their anniversary, she'd find a coin with that year. So there was always like some kind, there would be, the quarters that have the states. There would be a memory or some kind of connection, and then she'd find the coin. So it was not just coins. They notched it up a bit with her, and then she wrote a book on it. But I do see we have a question from Gary Moody.
Yes, this is all very interesting. Thank you. You talk about apports just happening without any, I guess, seance work, but then you're in the seance room spending all this energy trying to get apports happening. Like, wasn't spirit just apport without all this training and activity and power building?
Okay, so I'm not quite sure, but I would throw this out that people receive mediumship communication without trying, and then when they go to develop and learn how to do it, all of a sudden they can't do it. It's like they have to retrain themselves, and then as they do that, it starts to come, I want to say, on command, because you got to be able to do it on command if you're going to set an appointment with someone. Sue, do you want to
Well, I would say this to you. I would say that when the apports appeared without me doing anything, it was at a time when I emotionally needed to get that apport. So it was very meaningful to me. And I think it happened like at a time when I was just beginning to realize that I was mediumistic and didn't know anything about it at all. The apport arrived to kind of give me confidence and kind of give me, a sense of well-being. The other one arrived the second one arrived when I was, again, I think I was distressed, and it was a sign for me, to get back into the work and do it. So it wasn't emotionally important parts of my life that it appeared. It just didn't appear like one day out of the blue. The latest apports, which is moving, I think is telling me that I can do this work, and should spend more time trying to.
And I'm so excited that they're telling you that. Yeah, same with Sue. When I got the telephone and the camera, that's the time I was opening up again, and I was studying, and it coincided with the physical mediumship chapters of the material, because it was like 30 lessons, and they give you 5 years to do it. So they were, there was about 100 or 150 books to read along with that. So those coincided. Those are my memories. I mean, I've gotten feathers appear, or this or that.
Oh yeah, feathers. Yeah.
And then even in my seance room, we get the mist, and they seem to be seeing something that looks like feathers floating down on the with the cabinets open, but they haven't materialized to actually physical feathers. So they're working on it. I don't know, but anything's good. With the program that, and I want to acknowledge Inga, could you wave to everybody? Inga Croson and Karen Richards. Karen, can you wave? We also have Julie. She's watching the stream, so I can't, have her wave to you, but she's waving on the comments on my Facebook page. Sue and we're going to be the tutors. So the way Sue has scheduled this, it's going to be fabulous. There'll be a presentation when you arrive that evening, I think, on the history of spiritualism. And then the group will be divided into 2 groups, A and B. On the first day, what do we change?
That's what we have kind of planned right now, is to have 2 groups. But I have to say, the program keeps changing, and it will probably be changing until the very day we start. And even then it may change, because there's still a couple of things we're not sure of yet.
Okay.
But anyway, that was the idea. The idea is to kind of break everybody up into 2 groups so that the mediums don't get like the whole group in a session, which is too unmanageable, so that it's more manageable, and then it'll be repeated. So the mediums will repeat their things twice, and then you see it once, and then the next time you'll have an option to take a whole smorgasbord of different things, like the transfig and the art and all of it. So yeah.
Okay, so it's laid out at this point, very similar to the Arthur Finley schedule of classes, the way they do it. Everybody will meet together in the morning. This is subject to change. Then there'll be 2 groups, and they'll have one of the headliners maybe doing the 3-hour lecture. Like Michael Shane and Julie are going to teach spoon bending one day. So half the people will be there. The other half will have 3 smaller classes to choose from. So I know Karen and Sue are going to teach spirit art and what other the planchette.
What we're gonna do is Karen and I, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna do an aura energy workshop where I bring in the aura camera and we work with energy, and everybody can get to see the auras and see how it changes. And I've done this, and what's been cool is I bring in some of the gemstones that I have from the art gallery, and we put them in people's hands, and then we watch to see how the corresponding chakras grow and move. So we've seen that when you put, can't remember anyway, they go with different chakras, and when you hold it in your hand, that chakra starts to be activated more.
Awesome.
So we see that the gemstone actually does have an effect on the people.
And then I know I'll be teaching Meet Your Guides, which is really another way of saying I'm going to be teaching blending and moving into the altered state trance, which can enhance your mental mediumship as well as It's a tool to use and learn in order to sit for physical. And then also transfiguration. And so I'll have we'll get the students sitting for transfig, but it'll be small groups. So hopefully everybody will have an opportunity, because there'll be other people doing workshops with Sue and Inga. So, and then the next day we would be doing the same thing, but B group would go with the full morning, and the A group would get to choose one of the sub workshops. So basically, and you'll have two of those, and then there'll be an evening activity. So you're going to be going from basically 9 in the morning till 9 at night, minus meals times. And during that time, you can also choose for an extra fee to go participate in one of the dark seances, or the seances held in the dark that's hopefully generating the physical phenomena at Neil's. And it's going to run from Sunday, June 18th. That's when you arrive.
Evening, yeah.
Until Thursday, June 22nd.
We have to be done Friday at 12 noon, because Friday at 12 noon is when the Dale it opens its summer season. And I'm hoping, I haven't gotten it 100% confirmed, but when summer season starts, it should be the Tibetan monks.
Yeah, usually it is.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to be hightailing it out. Oh, is it going on to Friday morning?
You don't have to. We may just close up Friday morning. It would just be a goodbye type of thing.
So it's going to be a fantastic time. The energy is phenomenal in Lilydale to begin with, because, and for those of you unfamiliar with Lilydale, Lilydale is the largest spiritualist community in the US. It's mainly populated in the summer when it's warmer. It's about an hour west of Buffalo, New York. And the people that live in Lilydale are all spiritualists, most of whom are mediums. And it's a town that it can attract 20 to 30,000 visitors during their official season, which is the end of June through Labor Day. And there's classes held every day on different metaphysical topics. There's healings at the Healing Temple a couple times a day. There's messages at the Stump. So it's a to-do bucket list place to go, preferably a to-do list. So, because once you go, you're going to want to return. And because they gather so many people over the course of the year, for those of you that are sensitive to energy, when you go through the gates of Lilydale, it feels palpable. It's like you go through this, not a wall, but like a gel type. It's just palpable, the energy. And it's very exciting. I'm actually excited to hear about all the physical mediums that used to work there. For me, myself, it turned out the little town I live in on Long Island, Northport, third generation, but it used to be a very large spiritualist community that everybody forgot about. We had a very rich shipbuilder, Jesse Jarvis. He was the head of the spiritualists, and all the prominent folks in town participated in the seances at the different houses. This is back in like the 1850s and 60s. And I found out about this because I was asked to give a lecture on mediumship at the local historical society. So wanted something historical. So I decided to talk about the birth of modern spiritualism with the Fox sisters. And the day before my lecture, they were cleaning files out, and out of the blue, they opened up a file, which was a newspaper article from 1888, interviewing Jesse Jarvis about the Northport spiritualist community. And at the time, we had a little spiritualist group. We used to meet for spiritualist service once a month at my office. So I'm also quite aware that they are enthusiastic, our ancestors, from Northport about this because following the Lilydale event, I'm going to kidnap Gary Mannion and bring him down to Northport because I know a lot of folks aren't going to be able to make it up for 5 days for Lilydale. And I really want to bring some physical mediumship down. And I've got my my Northport spiritualists behind me, and they're really, really excited. And after the lecture at this historical society, when they were closing up that night, the light was flickering over the door. And I've been lecturing about mediumship all over Long Island, and I would get we'll get phenomena. The lights will flicker in the libraries, and they're just really excited. So, and I'm really excited. Can you see the smile? So, because although you guys have physical mediumship up and around Neil's house and in the UK and in Australia, we don't really have access to it on Long Island, right? So, used to live here. There's a couple of private circles that don't sit publicly. Nobody knows about it. So I'm super excited about this event. Some of the libraries are having me talk about it, the Lilydale event, so that people have the opportunity to go up that may not have heard of it. And then I'm excited to bring it down for the folks, some physical mediumship for the folks that can't get up there. And hopefully we'll be able to do it again. And then those folks will get a taste of it and make the time in their schedule.
Can I say two things about the conference? One of them, as people are calling me to register, I'm finding all kinds of people that have had amazing experiences with physical mediumship. So going to the face-to-face conference is going to really allow them to share with others their experiences and find out about the experiences of other people. Also, our goal is to educate people and have people try the things like I will use planchette in my automatic drawing class. Have people experience the spoon bending, the table tipping for themselves so they can see if they have a proclivity to do it.
Absolutely. That's the fun part, doing it, and trying it, as opposed to just, well, I don't know, it's pretty moving too to watch it. But Karen, my dear, what would you like to say or ask?
I just wanted, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
I just wanted to add as well that these things don't take long to learn. When you're with a table tipping medium, that faculty be shared with you. When you're with someone who does, say, spirit photography, that will be shared as well. Same as spoon bending. Healing, spoon bending, table tipping, super easy. Look at my Facebook page. Anyone can do it. And that's what we're sharing with you. That it doesn't take years. You don't have to study. You can sit, learn the mechanics behind it, and then just go with it. It's really easy. And the idea of bringing this back to Lilydale is that you'll sit with people that can do it. We share it to you, and then you move it on from there. It's really easy. It's going to be a great time. We're coming from Australia for it. We're going to share everything. I'm going to show you all the shortcuts to everything, whether it be mental, medium, trance. Anyone can do transfiguration. We'll show you everything. So try and come because it will be a great event. That's it.
Okay, and Mary.
Hi. Well, one of my questions is thank you again, Susan and Winter. I've met you, Winter Brook, in this past summer. You were with me on the Michael Shane when he apportated my crystal that I'm wearing now from Saint Germain, which was amazing. And like Winter and Susan says, once you've been to Lilydale, it's just like, I'm addicted. I just want to go. Like, I wish I could just be so close that I could go all the time. I'm only 4 hours away. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, so it's not so far, the trek. But I mean, it's just an amazing experience for anyone who's never been there. I highly recommend it. Highly vibrational. I mean, I saw fairies. I saw Mother Mary. I saw Padre Pio. I mean, I've seen all these amazing mediums working and taking workshops in the summer. I was there for 7 days. It was just an amazing experience, something that, like, for us light workers, learning and building our skills is amazing. And I just wanted to say Lilydale is the best. I mean, it's been transformative for me from this past summer to now. And I've got a direction that my direction is physical mediumship and trance healing as well. So it's just like from then on, a portal opens there. Once you step in, just like Winter says, once you step into Lilydale, from that gate on, it's just wow. It's just amazing. I just have to say, if some of you have not been there, you have to. I mean, for me, this is going to be a every summer thing. And my question, though, before I forget, will Lilydale be available for rooms during that time? Oh, it will.
Yes.
I'm trying to get them. I haven't gotten a total commitment from them, yes, but I'm pretty sure they will. Meanwhile, I have called all of the guest houses in Lilydale.
Okay, good. Okay.
And you can book a room in Harmony House or any one of the guest houses at this point without a problem.
Okay, great. Because Harmony House is my favorite, one of my favorites at least.
Yeah,
That's where I stayed.
I just talked to Tom the other day and told him we were coming and what we were doing. So yes, as I said, I've communicated it to them, so they're aware. And you just call up Harmony House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the final payment, Sue, I know I made the deposit. When is that due? I'd like to just pay it off just to make sure it's paid.
It has to be paid 30 days before the conference.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay. And then will there be anything else? Let's see. Oh, for me, my as far as what you guys were talking about with apportation, I feel like I received besides this one, I feel like when my mom passed away, as I left Lilydale, as I came from Lilydale, my mom passed away that Saturday after I came home Tuesday or Wednesday, and she passed away Friday. And I received like a crystal, like a beautiful gold necklace, which I've never seen in my life in my apartment or any of my jewelry. And it was just like, I love it. And it's just like, I heard from spirit that it was really from her. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. It's just like drop down, like crystal clear gold necklace. And it's just with gold earrings. I'm like, where did this come from? And I was told that something was going to pop up, like a piece of jewelry from spirit. And I was like, okay. And I had already received this one. So I knew it wasn't this one. So it was just amazing. So I just want to confirm to those people that maybe possibly don't believe it, that it happens out of the blue. It did. And it's normally when you need some comfort or someone, something from spirit, really, like a confirmation from spirit or a message from a passed on loved one, in my case, from my mom. So that was beautiful. So thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to our time there. And Winter, I'll be taking your course in January.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm excited. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're
if anybody's
welcome.
interested, I'm doing trance online starting in January, not to self-promote, and this is Rumi. Told you I'm going to rename myself the cat medium. I do want to share one quick story about the apports, because I meant to write this to Michael and then I just got crazy busy. When I was at his seance at Neil's, after he does all the apports, he divides them up and then he hands them out to people as he's inspired to do so by spirit. So I was excited. I'm just like anybody else. And he starts to say, well, these little red ones, they're going to somebody who works with somebody who's getting ready to pass. And I just jumped up because I have a dear friend. She's 91. Her cancer is metastasized. I take care of her. And so I just assumed, and the stone was to assist her
Transition.
thank you, transition to spirit. So I jumped up to get it for Helen. And then another lady jumped up too, and it turned out she was an ICU nurse. And I sat there, I said, oh God, maybe I wasn't supposed to stand up, because this like ICU nurse is going to be able to give these stones, because there's a whole bunch of little ones. She's going to be able to give them to all the patients. And I was like, well, what do I do? Do I sit down? I said, well, I wanted one for Helen to help her, because, you know, so I just accepted the stones, said thank you. And then I worried about it. I said, oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to take the stones. Next day, I hear spirit say, they got to the right person. I said, okay, I don't want to take what's not mine. But I get home and I get a message from someone that her asking me if I can help place a cat. Her friend was just told by the doctors there's nothing further they can do, and she's going to pass. So she was, because I work with cat rescues. And so I sent her one of the stones to give to her friend. The next day, I called my landscaper to ask him to do something. And he said, oh, by the way, or I texted him, he said, I'm upset. I just found out my father's dying in Honduras. I don't think I can get down there. So I sent him a check for what I owed him, and I put a stone in there. 2 days later, I hear from a student I hadn't heard from since pre-COVID. And he called because he wanted to ask my opinion. He's been helping his uncle transition, and his uncle had begun to have visions of late loved ones. So I put a stone in an envelope and I mailed him. So I was like, oh, okay, great. And I didn't, I was like, okay, I was supposed to get these stones so that I could, send them out. Obviously, I brought one up to Helen and I told her what it was for, because she's very open to mediumship, and she's had her own experiences. In fact, goodbye, Inga. Thanks for coming on. My mother showed up at the end of her bed to tell on me, believe it or not. See what you have to put up with when you're a medium and you have loved ones on the other side. So anyway, I just thought that was fabulous, because the stones came through. He knew, well, for this purpose. I was a little bit nervous that I took them, but then Spirit was able, I was supposed to take them, and Spirit then brought these people who I really hadn't spoken to for a while, except the landscaper, so I could dissipate them and get them to where they need to be. So I thought that was cool, the way Spirit uses us. But anyway, so I want to thank you, Sue. The last thing I did want to mention is, for those of you up in Lilydale, Sue has an art gallery. And I know that you had Phil Wyatt's artwork displayed.
Yes, I have a bunch of Philip's works there. I will let the conference participants into the gallery to see it. Don't know when, because I'm busy all the time up there. Yeah, but there is a gallery there. I do have all kinds of different spirit art. In fact, I'm doing new spirit art myself right now. So,
but even if it's not during the symposium,
I'm not going to open it up for the public this summer.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the time. I just can't do it. This summer, maybe the first summer I actually can get out of Lilydale for a week or so this summer. But if anybody wants to see it, I will just call me. I'll gladly open it up for you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted to promote that as well for you.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for coming on. Thank you, Sue. I really strongly encourage you, if there's any way possible you can make this symposium, it's going to be mind-blowing. Okay. And I've been, to many different places with mediumship, and I know, as Mavis Spatilla would say, I know, and I'm making sure she hears me, that this is going to be mind-blowing, this event. Just the energy of the people attending, the participants and the working mediums, together with the Lilydale energy, it's going to be extremely healing as well, because physical mediumship is a strong healing modality of mediumship. Okay, so come and giggle and have fun. Be amazed by what you as spirit incarnate can do, along with working with spirit discarnate. See the magic that can be created, as well as there'll be messages of love and upliftment. So connect with the old timers, like I've connected with the old timers in Northport, and they're going to be full on present. They're aware of this event with Sue, and I think things are slotting into place a little easier than you thought. Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah.
They're
Well, it's
working.
all coming together. I mean, there's changes all the time, but I'm also invoking the physical mediums from the past in Lilydale.
Yeah, they're super excited. So God bless everyone. Have a happy holiday. It is the holiday season. For those of you interested, next Wednesday night, December 15th, I'm going to have Joanne Wolf joining me to give us an astrological outlook for 2023. This Monday on the Spirit Chat with Mari, we're going to have the Angel Lady, and she's fabulous. So angelic messages and information right around this holiday season. And if you've missed it, if you want to rewatch this is on my YouTube channel. And if you missed my last show with Mari, we had the beautiful Denise Marie Jordan, who's here with us tonight. And she did an over the top presentation on Mars retrograde. I got a lot of positive comments about how interesting and informative it was. So it's going on now, and it'll affect you through mid-March. So feel free to take a look at it. It's on my YouTube channel, Brook Psychic Medium. And thank you. God bless. Have a great night.